How's it going, people? I hope you're well. Listen, massive big up to all of you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed that game. Listen, the shirt's on. I wasn't at the game today. I wasn't able to get to AFTV for the watch along, but I was able to watch it with family. We're going away this weekend, so I thought I'd come and spend it with mum and dad, watch the game. A house full of Gooners, very, very happy. And do you know what? With my Coke and rum, Merry Christmas, people, because that's the last time we'll see it. Arsenal. Until then, and we're going to be top of the league when we come back. So cheers. I must say, in the first half, Wolves absolutely had our number in parts. I thought tactically they were absolutely superb. But what I will say is we found a way. We had an answer, and we got the 3 points. And I'm going to big up a player tonight that I've not always criticised, but I've always demanded to see more from. And that's Martin Odegaard. I want to see more goals. I want to see more assists. This season he's delivering. I don't know how many goals that is now. Is that now 6 goals? 6 or 7 and a few assists in there as well, having a very good season. First of all, smash the like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and an apology. The lighting in here is shocking. It keeps going on and off and on and off. This is actually my old bedroom, and I don't quite know what's happening, but it's like I'm in a disco at the moment. But luckily, it doesn't seem to be affecting it too much. This guy, sorry, behind me would have been proud of today's performance in terms of how much courage we showed and also the resilience that we showed in parts of that game. I felt like Wolves had our number for a little bit of it, but actually, when you look at the performance in total, you have to be very happy with the 3 points. And some of the players in particular had an absolutely fantastic performance tonight. Got to big up Mr. Pads. Listen, Mr. Pads says, big up Dan. Gabriel was very, very good in my opinion. Odegaard stepped up and contributed when we actually really needed it as well. Martinelli, superb also. You've actually picked the players that I would have gone for. I'm not going to lie, I thought Martin Odegaard was man of the match. There was some absolutely amazing technical ability. And particularly in the first half, I thought he had a little bit of a quieter game. But in the second half, he just absolutely turned it on. And it wasn't just the goals that he scored, it was the contribution for that also. So I was with you. I thought he was sensational. I want to big up Saliba and Gabriel. I mean, Saliba had a moment of madness, didn't he? Where it was just a blind ball pass back to their forward, but luckily we got away with that. But what I want to say is big up to Gabriel because I thought Gabriel was brilliant tonight. I know he went in a bit of a madness, a bit of a crazy yellow card, but to be fair, he had to take out Traore there because he was through. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. So big up to him. Big up to also to yourselves. Big up to Joanne. Says hello Dan, hello to you Joanne. Big up Tony, says big up Dan with 5 clear at Christmas, mate. I mean, wow, this is unbelievable. Big up to James Bond, who says top of the league for the new year. Absolutely celebrations all day long. W James, big up yourself and thanks for joining us. Says 5 points clear. Come on, you Gunners. I don't think many of us can believe what is happening. Big up to Olu, big up to yourself. Mr. Pazza says he thought Zinchenko was so poor. Hopefully the friendlies during the World Cup will do him well. I thought in parts he was really good and also in parts he was poor with his passing, but it wasn't a poor performance for me overall, if I'm honest. But a lot of people are agreeing. Great win too for the league. Zinchenko was very poor tonight. I could nitpick one thing. Fair play to you, man. AFC says, are you still moaning about Arteta? No, I'm not, and I haven't been for a while. How can I be? If there's anybody moaning about Arteta, they've obviously got an agenda and they don't actually want Arsenal to win and they just want to be proven right. I'm happy to change my opinion and happy for people to prove me wrong, so to speak. I think the last 2.5 years, a lot of us have been right about this manager. I think he's made a lot of mistakes. And I think it was justifiable for people to be frustrated that we were coming 8th and 5th. But I always give him credit for the stuff he did off the pitch, along with Edu. But I was not giving him much credit for the stuff he was doing on the pitch. And now I think what we're seeing is the stuff off the pitch is now starting to show on it. I think the first 11 has been fantastic. And when Granit Xhaka went off tonight, I did worry because I thought, what are we going to be like with Vieira in there without Granit Xhaka? Is Zinchenko going to come in the middle and Kieran Tierney come on? He chose Fabio Vieira, and I felt he struggled and looked like a little bit of a lost sheep to start with, but he really come into his own in the second half. And I thought he was brilliant for the goal, I must admit. I thought that was a great assist, fantastic pass from Gabriel Jesus, and a great finish from Odegaard to tap it in. The second goal, let's be honest, was probably coming, and Odegaard's there to slot it home. And it's a player at the moment that I've been trying to compare to Maddison. And the reason I'm doing that is not because they're similar players, because actually they're not similar players at all. They're actually very different. But Maddison does one thing, and that's deliver. That is 100%. And at the moment, Odegaard, is delivering. And the reason he's delivering, and I'm happy with him delivering, is because it's showing a little bit of consistency. Now, there's times where Odegaard goes a bit missing. I think that's fair to say. I think people have always questioned the fact that he does sometimes go invisible. I think that's fair to say. But you can't sit there and say he's invisible today. And one thing I will say about him that has always been consistent is his work rate. I think with Mesut Ozil comparisons in the past, I've always disagreed because I felt that the mentality was completely different with Mesut Ozil. He was a shocking, shocking mentality. And I think when you look at the mental strength of Martin Odegaard, it's deeps and night and day. I think when you look at what Martin Odegaard is doing today, technically it was brilliant in parts. You know, there was close control, there was passing, there was creativity, there was movement, there was work rate off the ball, there was movement off the ball from Martin Odegaard tonight. And listen, he scored both the goals. So how can anyone give him a bad time? Honestly, man, it has been really, really impressive from what I've seen from this guy. This season, I've been one to say, please score more goals. Everything else in your game, I love. Just please score more goals. What's he doing? He's scoring more goals. He scored 2 against Bournemouth. He got one at was it Palace where he scored, or was it Leicester? I can't remember. But I believe that's his 5th or 6th goal. So in 13, 14 games to get 6 goals, he's well on the way, to me anyway, for double figures. And I think he's, in my opinion anyway, I think that's where he should be looking at getting. I think they all should. The front four should all be looking to get into double figures. And at the moment, all of them, believe it or not, all 4 of them are looking well more than likely to get into double figures. Martinelli in parts today in the second half I thought was superb. I thought he was a little bit quiet in the first half, but come into it towards the later part of the first half. Second half I thought he was really good. Bukayo Saka I absolutely love the way Bukayo Saka uses the shielding and shields that ball, turns, uses his agility, and reminds me a little bit of Alexander Hleb when he does that from years ago. Completely different player, by the way. I think he's better than Hleb. I think he's got an unbelievable ceiling, Bukayo Saka. But that part of his game really reminds me of Hleb with his close control, the fact that it doesn't matter if there's 2 or 3 players around him. He'll spin them. He'll use his body. He'll use his strength and his agility to get around them. And he'll shield that ball. And the amount of times that people will actually take him out is crazy for me. A little bit of a quieter game, some were saying, towards the end of the game. Wasn't his night. Yeah, maybe it wasn't, but I didn't think he was shocking. Gabriel Jesus, again, movement was mad off the ball. The intensity this guy shows and the work rate is just phenomenal. And he badly needs a goal. And it's such a shame that he didn't get that goal before we break for the World Cup, because for me now, that would have just been the cherry on the cake for me, that performance from Arsenal tonight. We can relax because this weekend has been unbelievable yet again. Who thought that Ivan Toney would shut up Gareth Southgate 1 or 2 days after not being selected for England, by scoring 2 goals against Manchester City, which nobody expected. Manchester City going 1-0 down to an Ivan Toney goal earlier on. I thought, yeah, they'll come back. And when they equalised, there was only one team winning it that I thought it was going to be. And they got them on the break and they beat them 2-1. And I could not believe it. Spurs a little bit lucky yet again. Another Harry Kane incident, I believe. I haven't seen it. That was a blatant foul for the goal. Not given. Gives the goal. But who cares? Why do we care about Tottenham? Why do we actually care about Tottenham at the moment? Everybody was disappointed. Oh, Tottenham, oh, that's a shame. Oh, I would have liked to have seen them lose. Yeah, we always like to see them lose. Let's not worry about them. They're miles away. Yeah, they're miles behind us at the moment. I think we can go 11 points clear of them if we win the game in hand. Okay, it's against City, but I think we're 9. I think we're 8 or 9 points clear of them at the moment. So let's not worry about Spurs. Yeah, they're not even on our tail. They're way down the pecking order for us. It's Man City we're worried about, and I have to say it, Newcastle, who I thought was superb tonight. And I know Chelsea were poor against us, and in parts they were poor against Newcastle tonight. But my God, Newcastle look a team at the moment, a proper team. Eddie Howe's got them playing. They've got them well drilled. And big up Joe Willock, by the way, because he was absolutely brilliant. Tonight's performance, as far as Arsenal were concerned, is one that we can be proud of. The togetherness was there again. The away fans were loving it. Absolutely superb. Heard them throughout the game. And we got the victory against the Wolves side that, let's say, people would be not surprised that we beat them. But 2 things. One, they're a bogey side for Arsenal. We never go there and blitz them 4 or 5-0. And the other thing is they actually had a low block, catch us on the counter, make it hard for us, play free at the back, and try to keep hold of the ball away from their area. And to be fair to them, for the majority part of the game, I think they did really well. But for me, we just knocked on the door too much and finally broke it through. And I think Mikel Arteta deserves a lot of credit tonight. The players do as well for the resilience they showed. And once we got that first goal, I really believed, like Alan Smith said on the commentary, that it was going to open up for us. And luckily, again, we got a break that I would say maybe was a little bit of a pinball at times around their area. We didn't really know who was going to score. Bit frustrated in the first half, but second half I thought we were superb. And Odegaard gets his second goal of the game, and he's been superb. If I'm honest with you today, absolutely superb. So let's see what happens, man. This is going to be an interesting break, a lovely World Cup now that we can go and try and best to enjoy. Even though it seems bizarre to me that we're going to do it in the middle of a season, but I've been really impressed with what I saw tonight. I must say, I was absolutely loving it in the second half, particularly. And Jesus' performance impressed me. Gabriel and Saliba good at the back. Ben White, I have to say, some of his passing is just outstanding. It really is. I understand people's concerns for Zinchenko at times in terms of his passing. I didn't think he was shocking. Ramsdale was class tonight. Really, really impressed with his performance and very solid. Thomas Partey, very good. Obviously, Odegaard, man of the match for me. Saka and Martinelli had glimpses. Jesus' work rate was fantastic. Some of the subs at the end came on late, but Fabio Vieira was the one that I wanted to mention because a few people were saying that when he came on in my WhatsApp group, people were saying he's not really the answer. And I understood that. And I was agreeing with it from the first few minutes that I saw. Wasn't really looking like he was understanding where his teammates were. Looked a little bit of a lost sheep. Second half, coming to his own. I know it was a bit harsh, really, for Mikel Arteta to bring him off. I know the game was won, but I thought he might have let him finish to the end. But there we go. An interesting situation. But guys, two things I want to do before I wrap up. I've got to ask you in the chat this. There's two things I want to know. Can we win the title is my first question. The reason I feel that we can win the title this season, I'm not saying we're going to, but we can win the title, is because we've answered pretty much every question that's been thrown at us this season, 14 games in. We've been able to come from behind and show that we can take 3 points. We've been able to not lose the game against teams like Leeds or Southampton when things have looked really poor for us. We've been able to get over the line when it's been difficult for us at times, i.e. Chelsea and Wolves in the last 2 weekends. We've shown naivety against Man United, and I haven't seen it again since, which proves that we've learned from our lessons. We've also been able to show an attractive style of play that's been consistent throughout 14 games of this season. We've also been able to take the game to big six teams away from home, i.e. Chelsea. We've been able to beat teams at home, Tottenham, Liverpool. We are in a position right now that I never dreamed we would be in. And that's 5 points clear going into the Christmas period. Now, I understand that we are the only team that hasn't won the league when we've been at top at New Year's Eve. I want that to change this season. Man City have proven not only they can be beatable, but people can score against them and you can take points off them. Crystal Palace took a draw off them this season. Newcastle took a draw off them this season. They've been beaten by Brentford. They've been beaten by Liverpool. We can win the league. Now, do I think we're going to win the league? That's a completely different question. The only chance we have of winning this league is January. If we go into January and we buy Danilo and we buy Mudryk and we buy Tielemans, I think we have an unbelievable chance of taking Manchester City really, really close to the title. Now, the rumours I'm hearing is that we're going to spend in January and that Mikel Arteta is going to be backed. I think if Josh Kroenke and Stan Kroenke are serious about a title this season, or any hope of a title at least, they have to back Mikel Arteta in the transfer market. I'm hearing that Danilo could be quite realistic. 26 million to 30 million pounds over in Brazil, defensive midfielder, 21 years old, definitely what we need to cover Thomas Partey. Mudryk, we've all heard about. Shakhtar, the next winger, 21 years old, Ukrainian, left-footed, can play on both wings, but is essentially a left winger. That's a player to me that I look at and think that would be a fantastic buy. Let me just get rid of one of these absolute fools in the chat. There we go. So for me, I look at it right now and think those two would be realistic signings and two positions that we need. We need cover across the front three. We need a holding midfielder. That both of them would be able to do the job. I look at Zaha and Tielemans as potential summer moves from what we're hearing. And I was listening to Talk Sport the other day. Apparently, Tielemans would be interested in an Arsenal move. I think there's two reasons for that. One, I think he wants out of Leicester anyway. And two, I think he fancies a go at a title. And to be fair, why wouldn't he? I think Mudryk and Danilo are the same at that. So that's going to be interesting. Chuck your questions in the chat. Put a Q next to it so I can answer it and see it because there's a lot of you in the chat at the moment. Smash a like if you haven't done so already and then subscribe to the channel. Absolutely free, both of those things to do, and it helps me and the channel out massively. So much appreciate you doing that. Let's talk first of all about why I think January is really important. If we do nothing this January, we are 2 or 3 injuries away from having no chance of winning the title. I think top 4 is pretty much going to be sewn up unless we have a catastrophic end to our season or second half to our season. But the title is nowhere near wrapped up. We're not even close at the moment, in my opinion, from being confident of winning the title. but people are starting to talk about it now. We've been on the last 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 games. We've been one of the last teams to play, and we've always got over the line. And because of that Europa League game on the Thursday, we're normally playing on the Sunday. We had all the pressure against us tonight to win the game. Last game of tonight. All the pressure on us last weekend against Chelsea late, and all the pressure the week before. Every time we've played Tottenham or Liverpool or Chelsea or whoever it's been, there's always been a hell of a lot of pressure on Arsenal, and we've been delivering. This is a very young side. The majority of them are under the age of 25. I think there's only Granit Xhaka and El Neni in the whole squad that are over the age of 25, if I'm honest with you. So it's going to be really interesting for me to see how far this young side can go this season. And lastly, I want to big up the manager. I've already said the reason that we've answered a lot of questions is because of him. But actually, I think he deserves more the credit than just being answering some questions now. 14 games in, I've seen consistency, I've seen resilience, I've seen fight, I've seen hunger and desire, I've seen passion, and actually, more importantly, I've seen a togetherness that I've never seen at the Arsenal since the Invincible season. And the last time, if I'm honest with you, that guy was playing for us, lifting a Premier League trophy, was the last time I felt confident of actually, yeah, we could do something here. Because really, at the Emirates era, there was the year of Eduardo breaking his leg that I thought we might have had a chance in 2008. There was the year of 2010-11 where we were top at New Year's Eve and things went wrong for us over at Birmingham League Cup final, Barcelona. We got knocked out when Van Persie kicked the ball away. I think we lost to Blackburn that year in the FA Cup. Everything was disastrous towards the new year. 13-14, we were the top of the league at New Year's Eve. And if it wasn't for a Gerrard slip, Liverpool would have won the league that year. But for me, it was never really an option. In 2015-16, Danny Welbeck scored with a header on Valentine's Day. And I remember that really well because my family and I went to Prague that day. And I really thought that was the last chance we had of winning the league. That was 7 years ago. We've never been close since then. We're close now. And I say we're close now, and I understand there's loads of games to go. But the reason we're close now is because this team has showed something that it's never shown before and that the previous sides have never shown before. It's a young team. It's got resilience. It's got desire and hunger and passion. And at the moment, the manager deserves a hell of a lot of credit. And he does, in my opinion, deserve an apology from the people that ever doubted him as a coach. You might doubt some of the results and say you're lucky to be here. I think that's very justifiable from people that have said that. But at the moment, he deserves a huge apology because he is answering all of the critics. It's been absolutely fantastic. Let's do a couple of questions before we do wrap up. Sports Genius, this one comes in from you. Says, Dan, is it important to not panic buy? Dakar, Odegaard, and Isak were all linked, but they have flopped. That's a really good question. And that's something that we definitely will not do. And the reason I know that is because in January, they said that we didn't want to go out and buy anyone. Now, I totally agree with that, right? Where I disagreed with it last summer was because we were playing Cedric's, Holdings, Nketiah's, El Nenis instead of a panic buy, which, to be fair, would have probably been better. Eduard or Isak would have been a better buy than Eddie Nketiah. Vlahovic would have been a better signing than Eddie Nketiah. But I do agree with you that we don't just want to go and spy on someone and say we had to get him. We didn't really want him, but we panic buyed and we got him in because we're so short. So I totally agree with that. I really do. Where are we here? Dan, you doubted him as well. Yeah, I said that, bro. I've said that. Maybe you've missed the show a bit. Go back and watch it again because I've been speaking about that earlier on. There was another question in the chat. Let me see if I can find it. Where are we? Jafara says, Dan, what amazes me more is when you look at Man City, they look shaky in so many games. They played whereas we Arsenal, we look comfortable with or without the ball. It is madness. It is absolutely madness. It really is, man. I can't lie. Georgia says, where do you think Newcastle will finish this year? At the moment, I honestly believe they will get top 4. I honestly believe it. I think if I was to put my money right now, Manchester City and Arsenal would be definites for top 4. And I would probably go with Newcastle, and then it would be a flip of a coin between Liverpool or Spurs. And I'll probably go with Spurs because Liverpool's defence and midfield does not look good enough for me. So I think Conte, although they can't defend, they can score goals, as we saw today. I think they'll probably sneak it, if I'm honest with you. But a lot could change. A lot could change. Epic Throner says, respect, Dan. Followed you here from Lee's channel. The unbiased, intelligent analysis is top draw. Mate, thank you very much. I much appreciate that. Sports Genius says another one. Dan, would you take Mudryk or Zaha? I would take Zaha because he's Premier League proven and he's experienced and he'd be ready right now. Mudryk would probably be the more exciting strike forward because he's obviously got a higher ceiling in terms of him being 21 and looking absolutely mad, by the way. He looks ridiculously good. But I would probably go with Zaha because he'd be cheaper and he's obviously out of contract in the summer. This one's from Craig AFC 87. He says, Dan, what's the goal difference between us and Man City now? We're literally only about 4 or 5 goals behind Man City now in terms of goal difference, and that is key. That is absolutely key because if you can keep up with them goal difference wise, you've had a very good season, let alone being above them. Let's take a look at this question. It says from the Sox guy, Yo Potts, what would you rate our defense, midfield, and attackers out of 10? I don't know if you mean into terms getting in today's game. So I'll go with that quick and then I'll do overall. I think our attack this season has probably been an 8 or a 9, mate. I know our final third sometimes lets us down. I know that sometimes we want Jesus on the score sheet more, but the intensity and the resilience and the sheer passion and desire I've seen from these front three, I think they've been exceptional. And I think every single team hates playing against this front three at the moment. In terms of our midfield, that's probably going to get the most for me because Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey and Odegaard together complement each other so well. So again, I'd probably give that an 8.5 to a 9. And our defence this season, at times it's been difficult to keep a clean sheet at home. We did that the other day against Forest. Let's hope for more when we get back to playing. But away from home, it has been exceptional, mate. So I'm going to give them a 9. I think Saliba has taken us to a different level. Absolutely amazing. And Ramsdale, of course, deserves a lot of credit for that as well. Guys, this has been a superb stream as always. I'm going to take a couple more questions. I did see them down here. You guys are absolutely mad, by the way, trying to throw questions in last minute. I absolutely love it. Here we go. Here's one. Dan, would you spend 60 million on Mudryk or spend that money on the midfield? Because the gap between Partey and the backups is mental. We need 2 quality midfielders. Now, this is really interesting because if somebody was to give me a load of money, the first area I would go and sign would be a holding midfielder and then a centre midfielder and then maybe a centre forward and then a wide forward. They're the 4 positions I think are clear that we're still lacking. My problem is, where do we go and sign them? Where's another Thomas Partey? Unless you're going to spend 75 to 100 million on Declan Rice, or if you're going to go and get Jude Bellingham for about that price, I don't see someone else that's going to be a Thomas Partey level quality that's going to come in. So I think somebody like Danilo, or if we were trying to go and get a Ruben Neves or somebody like that can come in to cover for Thomas Partey, then that would be realistic. So I would spend the money wisely on the positions of priority, which I believe are defensive midfield, centre midfield, striker, and wide forward. So if you was to give me 4 players, yeah, Zaha, Mudryk, Danilo, Tielemans, Ivan Toney, they'd all be players I'd go for. We've got to look at what money is realistic, what players want to come to Arsenal, and then look at January to try and strengthen. So I absolutely agree with that. Mark wants me to speak about the artwork. So Thierry Henry was obviously one of my favourite players. This is my old bedroom because I'm at my parents'. And the drawing behind me was actually painted by my uncle, who was an artist, bless him. Unfortunately, passed away not long ago, which is really sad. And this is a kind of long-term memory, I suppose. Unbelievable like quality in terms of how talented he was. And this was actually a picture that I had. And I asked him to do some decorating in my room and draw some bits on my walls. And oh my God, I remember coming up thinking, well, how is he drawing this? Like, he's never going to get this right. And look at it. Absolutely amazing. Oh, I'll move that way. This, of course, was the famous goal that Thierry Henry scored against Spurs at Highbury when we won 3-0, and he literally took it around the whole of their team. And I remember him sliding on his knees in front of the away fans and going absolutely mental. So this is my old bedroom, people. And I'm not going to take you around the whole of it because it's actually my niece and nephew that come in here now most of the time playing, and it's absolutely all over the place. Last couple of questions I'm going to take before we wrap up. One comes from Kev Rook, said, would you rather win the Premier League or the Europa League? Kev, the Premier League all day long, my friend. I love the Europa League, and I think in Europe, Arsenal at times have definitely had not as much history as we'd like. But winning the Premier League is always the priority. I'd rather win the Premier League over the Champions League, mate. For me, Premier League's number 1, Champions League's number 2, and then the domestic cups after that. That's the way I see it, man. Premier League, then Europe, and then domestic cups. I've always been that way. Tide Gunnosaurus has got a question. He says, top of the league should make it easier to get players in January. Do you think that? 100%. I think people who look at Arsenal already knowing it's a big club. They like the pull of London. They like the pull of the club. But what they do like is the pull of winning the Premier League. And my God, we have a great chance of doing that. So fair play. Where are we? Paul says, "Hey Dan, fantastic show as always. I think we should go get Maddison, Tony, Neves, and Zaha, and we would definitely win the league." Wow. I mean, if we have money to go and do that, Paul, I would absolutely love to see it. I certainly do like Maddison. You all know that. Tony, I'm a huge fan of, and again, has proven why I like him today with 2 goals at Man City. And Zaha has been brilliant for a few seasons now. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Arsenal are top of the league. I'm going to say a huge, 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 huge thank you to everyone for making this channel what it is, because it's been absolutely superb getting you back here and you turning up in the chat, chatting, interacting, comments, questions, super chats. Been absolutely mad. And I love that. I absolutely love that, because for me, if you guys keep coming back, I'm going to keep chatting. And you've subbed to the channel. A lot of you have subbed to it. A lot of you have made it what it is. I must say a huge thank you to you for that. Honestly, it's been really humbling to get this many subscribers in a matter of months. I never thought I'd do that. My kind of plan was to try to get to 1K and to hit 6,100 now, or whatever it is just so humbling. So thank you all so much. I missed a super chat. Osama, thank you so much for this. January window will be critical to our season. Well, I hope I've answered why that is true to you earlier on in the stream. And you're absolutely bang on. It is. Guys, it's going to be World Cup now. We're going to have a nice little break for a couple of weeks, and then we're going to see what Arsenal can do in terms of the Premier League, and then before that, what England can do in the World Cup. My tip for the World Cup is Argentina. I think it's a flip of a coin between Brazil and Argentina, but I'd love to see Argentina win it if England can't, so that Messi gets a World Cup and everyone can start putting respect on his name. Big up yourself, chat. Thank you all so much for listening. Smash a like and a subscribe. It's absolutely free, and do that on the way out. And we'll see you next time. As always, up the Arsenal. Take care, guys.